I think Dan, you wanted to have a look at some of the bigger talking points, maybe from the game, and some of the, I suppose, refereeing decisions made by Conor Lane. Like, and I thought, I meant to say it to you watching the game, but at one stage when he blew his whistle, I just thought, geez, imagine how hard it is to referee a game at this pace in those conditions where you have to add a little bit of leniency, otherwise you could be black carding everyone, which I think the Davy Byrne decision might fall into. But you're so on your own there. So I'm just wondering, from your refereeing background, what you thought of Conor Lane's performance, and is it hard because of the conditions that you have to be that little bit more lenient, or is it just the rules are the rules?
Well, just to give like a context, like I would just referee, I mainly play, so referee whenever I can. So you'd be kind of never at a serious level, intermediate or junior. But I remember reffing the 14 Fela hurling final 2017-ish, and there must have been maybe maximum 100 people in Parnell Park. And I had a good amount of experience at that stage, 6-7 years. And I remember just blowing it for an early free, and I heard a kind of groan or a roar of the crowd, and it hits you straight away. And for those that haven't played in front of a stadium, let alone referee in front of a stadium, when you referee every decision, and again, it was a failure, so this is very low ball stuff in terms of what's coming from the crowd. Yeah, I felt under huge pressure. So we always have to give a bit of context in terms of how much pressure these referees are under. It was a big occasion for Conor Lane. He has plenty of experience, but unfortunately, I do think he kind of lets too much go, and I think he's in the kind of book of Mar Stegan style of refereeing, where he kind of lets too much go, and you end up in these mess where a lot of these decisions aren't dealt with. Now, the John Small incident, right? As soon as it happened, Sean, I understand people might not have thought it was a foul, but straight away, Owen McLaughlin hit his head on the ground. There's a head injury. It's a terrible look for Gaelic football and an Irish sport in the middle of Croke Park that we left a man just lying on the ground and played on. And I think it was it Pascal had the goal chance then to make it 7. And that's inconsequential, but in terms of the safety. But I mean, if that went in, the game's over. It's 7 points, and it's a different result, all because Conor Lane didn't blow the whistle. And I understand heat of the moment, it goes away, but Mar Stegan was on the linesman, and he pushed in his chest, which means you're turning on your mic. And according to what was said, or just reading between the lines, I think he said it was shoulder to shoulder to play on. So you've two very experienced officials looking at Owen McLaughlin lying on the floor with a head injury. And I don't think James Horan was pissed off that there wasn't a red card given. In his interview, he was pissed off that the game wasn't stopped. And I think that's a non-negotiable for a referee. And it was a poor look for the sport that we kind of left the lad sit there. And of course, he ended up having a broken jaw. In terms of the tackle itself, I haven't heard anybody on the Sunday Game or any other podcast platform quoting the rules, which is very important because Sunday Game have a massive platform. It takes 2 seconds to put up the rules. So, a casual watcher goes, I know what to watch out for next time. So the 3 rules are, well, firstly, it has to be shoulder, shoulder, shoulder. It has to be side to side, shoulder, shoulder. But in terms of the cautions, if you do mistime it, so you can either get shoulder to chest, which is like a tick, or charge to the chest, and then you get a rough play, which is a yellow card, or if you endanger the safety of your opponent, it's a red card. And that definitely went into the endangering the safety of the opponent. I think that's pretty clear. But I think the rules need to be quoted like that, because it's not fair on any other referee going in and quoting rules, yet nobody knows the rules. Do you know what I mean? But Conor Lane definitely got that first one wrong. It was a red card. I don't know what you made of it, Sean, but I did tap you in the shoulder straight away going, we've a man sitting there and we're in Dublin Ireland for a goal. This is an absolute joke.
Yeah, like the one about a red card or not, I think that's it. I'm not qualified to say it. I do think you're right. I think the head injury and just the sheer force of the impact, and I think it hit when you saw the ambulance come on straight. That's the quickest I've seen an ambulance caught on to the pitch in Croke Park. So I think, yeah, the severity of it, the hit, I think the fact you could see it lining up, and it was almost a blind. He walked into a blind alley. It was a poor pass the way he was given to him. I'm not sure whether it's a red card or not, like 100% red card. It probably is. I don't like this whole slow-mo idea and the picking of the player, and this is an amateur sport after all, and I don't like that. None of this stuff was maybe said about. I think it was Richie Hogan who got sent off in an All-Ireland final. People weren't getting as personal as maybe they were with some of the stuff about John Small, which I don't think is fair. But it's a difficult one because it's such a big playing area and you've got one referee, you've got two linesmen and four umpires, and it almost is, and I've been saying it for a while, for some of those bigger games in Croke Park, and it's going to be hard with the rules, but it's almost as if they need an extra pair of eyes. Now, I'm not for 1 minute saying any sort of video refereeing, but I do think there almost has to be something else there, because it's so difficult, and the pace of the game is being played at. It's just maybe a discussion for another day, but certainly one of the bigger talking points was that, and you never like coming out of a game where so much had happened in the game that, first of all, Dublin didn't deserve to win it, and you almost have a few different stories coming out of it, all this and the refereeing, and I think you have to give full credit to Mayo as opposed to anything else that happened. But
just
we'll
on
touch
the
on,
just on the
yeah.
yeah, but just on the last thing on the John Small though, like watching it back or even live, like it's not rough play. While he hasn't intentionally gone to like hit him at shoulder and in the head, he has endangered the safety of the opponent. So it is a red card. However, I would completely agree with you that a lot of the stuff online is very personal to John Small, and it's pretty nasty stuff. And I mean that's just the world we live in with social media, but it's not nice. And you know, professional footballers are one thing, and again, everyone's human, but like these are amateur players and these are amateur officials making these decisions. These referees aren't paid, these linesmen aren't paid, they don't have slow-mos, you know.
The thing on that endangering the safety of it, or whatever that is, I know it's a footballing kind of line, but when the game's played at that much pace with that wet conditions, with everything like that, almost feel like you could make a judgment for a lot of things being endangering the safety of an opponent. There was that strike by Garrod Hegarty last year on Joe Canning that, now it was a little bit accidental. I think it was the All-Ireland semi-final hurling, and you could make a case for that being a red card, even though a lot of people wouldn't have it a red card. So that's a difficult line to cross.